welcome to another video tutoring with Becca. Today we're going to break down AQA English Language, Literature and Language exams. So why should you understand the exam structure? What is the point? Well, understanding the structure of your English exam or any exam is essential for GCSE students. Both literature and language assess the same skills. They assess reading, analysing and writing skills. However, they assess things in different ways, and understanding how they do that, what each paper requires, how marks are allocated, which skills are being tested and what the question is asking you to do can help you achieve the maximum number of marks possible. It's important to remember though that there are different exam boards, and knowing which exam board you're doing is going to help you. This video covers AQA. Other exam boards include Edexcel, Educas, OCR and various other exam boards as well. So let's start with AQA English Literature. There are two papers for English literature. Paper 1 is Shakespeare and 19th century novel for a total of 64 marks. Section A looks at Shakespeare. Students will study a play such as Macbeth or Romeo and Juliet. There will be one question that focuses on characters or themes. And students have to analyse the language, the context and the dramatic techniques that Shakespeare used. Section B is the 19th century novel. Again, students will study something like A Christmas Carol or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There will be one question covering both the themes or the characters. And again, students have to analyse language, context and narrative techniques in this case instead of dramatic techniques. Both these two questions, this paper will include extracts for the students to analyse before they start writing their actual answer. Paper 2 is a little different. It's modern text and poetry for 96 marks. Section A is modern text. Students study a 19th century novel or play, such as Inspector Calls or The Lord of the Flies. The question focuses on themes, characters and writers' methods. And actually for this particular question, students get the choice between two questions and they only do one. Section B is the poetry anthology section. There's one question about one of the poems from the anthology, such as Power and Conflict, or Love and Relationships, or World and Lives. Students then compare the poem that's printed in the exam to another poem from that anthology. And then we have section C, which is unseen poetry. You have two unseen poetry questions that you have not studied in the exam. Question 1 is on one poem, question 2 is the comparison. And both for section B, the poetry anthology, and section C with unseen poetry, students do have to compare poems, they have to analyse the structure, the language, the form and intentions of the poet. Timings and marks are important to understand as well. Paper 1 is an hour and 45 minutes and worth 64 marks. And paper 2 is 2 hours and 15 minutes and worth 96 marks. And so it's, for literature specifically, it's important to learn quotes and context for each of the texts. Poetry is a little different because there are a lot of poems, but just a couple of quotes from each poem, a little bit of context, and then roughly 5 to 10 quotes per text that they're studying. Practicing planning answers with the Peel, point, evidence, explained, link, paragraph structure is useful. Most schools will teach a version, either they will teach Peel or a version of Peel. I always say to students, as a tutor, choose the one that works the best for you or the one that helps you plan the most efficiently. And pay attention to the writer's methods. What language, what structure, what form are they choosing and why? English language is a little different. Two papers. Paper 1 is creative reading and writing. Section A, which is reading, analyses fiction extracts from 19th century or 20th century, the 20th century. Questions test comprehension, they test analysis and evaluation. Students focus on meaning, the language and the writer's intentions as well. Section B is the writing question, which is just question 5. Students complete a creative writing task. They get to choose between describing a picture or answering a narrative or short story prompt. And students are needed to use varied vocabulary, a varied sentence structure and different techniques to make their writing as interesting as possible. Paper 2 is writers' viewpoints and perspectives. Section A is reading. Like paper 1, this is questions 1 to 4. You analyse a modern and 19th or 20th century non-fiction text. So you might get something from 1885 and 1968, or you might get something from 1850 and 1995, and you have to analyse and compare the two texts. They will be about the same topic though. They're not going to choose two texts that have got nothing in common. And as with paper 1, the questions 1 to 4 test comprehension, language, structure, the writer's viewpoints and comparing the extracts. Section B is the writing section again. For question 5, you get 1 prompt this time. You write a letter or an article or a speech. Sometimes they might say write a blog post, write a tabloid article or something like that. For all intents and purposes, they are the same thing. It is an article. But you also have to write for a specific audience and purpose as well. And again, like with paper 1, section B, you have to use persuasive techniques, a clear structure and appropriate language. Timings and marks for English language are a little different. Paper 1 is now 45 minutes, a total of 80 marks, split equally between section A and section B, and the same for paper 2, an hour and 45, 80 marks split equally between section A and section B, which makes the 2 section Bs, which are the 2 question 5s, the 2 writing questions, 50% of your final English language grade, which is huge. It's a big thing. So this thing with English language, especially for section B and question 5, is to practice as much as possible. So key skills across both literature and language are looking to see if you can identify an explicit and implicit meaning. So what is obvious, what is not obvious? Can you analyse language form and structure? Can you understand context and writer's purpose? For writing skills, examiners are wanting to look at to see if you can express ideas clearly and coherently. Can students use a range of vocab and sentence structures? Can students adapt tone and style to audience and purpose with their writing? And can they use punctuation, spelling and grammar accurately? Time management is essential for exams. Planning answers before writing is important. The examiners can tell who has planned their answer and who has not, especially the creative writing questions on English language. Allocating time according to marks for each question is useful. There's the mark per minute rule or a mark and a half per minute, whichever one works best for you. So if you have a 20 mark question, you roughly spend 20 minutes on it. Reviewing and editing your writing, if possible, at the end of your exam. If possible, proofreading your own writing is very difficult, but if you are able to spot the odd thing that you've missed out or misspelled or something, then change it. You never know what that might do when it comes to marking. So final tips for both language and literature. Practice papers are scientifically proven to be the best way to practice, to prepare for an exam, because you're becoming familiar with the question types. Memorising key quotes for literature texts. Again, I've said this already. roughly 5 to 10 quotes per main text, and then 2 quotes per poem if you need that sort of marker. Please don't spend hours trying to remember 50 quotes per text. That's too much to remember. Using peel paragraphs for structured answers, especially when planning your answer, it's very useful. You know what it stands for: point, evidence, explain, link. I always try to find my evidence first, then move on to the explain, link it either back to the question or to another thing, and then create my point for my plan. Planning writing, I've said this already: clear structure, clear beginning, middle and end to make your work easier to follow. I've said this already, examiners can tell who has planned their answers and who has not. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it has been useful in breaking down AQA, English language and English literature. There are differences. They are 2 different subjects, so students get 2 different grades, which is important to remember. If you have any other questions, I have a Parent's Guide to the GCSE ebook for free available on my shop, tutoringwithbecca.co.uk/shop. Thank you for watching.